Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. G-Man, thank you very, very much. Even before the live stream started, I just want to thank you. G-Man wrote, you and your channel are much appreciated, AJ. Thank you for some clarity in these crazy and trying times. G-Man, thank you so very much for your support and generosity. G-Man, thanks for always watching, and thank you again. Thank you. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, the two best moderators in all of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show this evening. And I think by the way, I'm wearing my No Malarkey shirt. No Malarkey. Why? Because I believe in no malarkey. The reality is that Madam Secretary is going to be nominee. Every day is proving me. Every day we get closer to the H.A. Goodman prophecy. Every single day. The closer they get, the more they're confronted with the reality that they're going to get absolutely obliterated if it would be Trump versus the exhumed body, the wonderful and amazing Tales from the Crypt. Absolutely phenomenal vice president. It ain't going to be Biden, people. It'll be Hillary Clinton. She's going to be nominee. I wrote about this in the Huffington Post. In 2017, Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. Thank God. He's a great president. He's going to win again. He's in the driver's seat. The polls are even more useless and inaccurate than they were in 2016 when they said Clinton could win Texas. And then Clinton had a double-digit lead, and Clinton was up in swing states. She'll lose again, and she will run in 2024. But here, this is a great, and God bless her. She's fantastic. Nothing but good things to say about Madam Secretary. If anything, I want Madam Secretary to run every 4 years. I think she's qualified and fantastic. CBS News, Oklahoma Supreme Court rules in favor of Trump's rally. They don't realize. The Hill, Oklahoma Supreme Court denies appeal. To prevent Trump's rally, the Oklahoma Supreme Court denied a legal request. This is the Hill to require that social distancing be enforced at President Trump's campaign rally on Saturday. The decision comes in response to a lawsuit brought by, on behalf of city residents, businesses, and individuals who claim the rally would put the community at risk. Okay, so here's what you need to remember. If you are at risk at all, then you need to stay home and self-quarantine and stay safe. That is what you should do, what people always should have simply addressed their own needs and protected themselves, just like you would any other year or any other era in American political history, or any other flu season. Okay, you had 80,000 people in 2018 lose their lives of the flu. 80,000 people. You had 56,000 1 year under President Obama. We have a greater percentage of the population now that's a bit older. You have people with pre-existing conditions, health conditions. They have to be careful. They have to stay safe. So, yeah, social distance and wear the mask and all of that. But if you want to go to President Trump's rally and you're healthy and you're allowed to do so, then people are going to live their lives. People are going to live their lives. That's what they don't understand, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Democrats and media, they don't understand this. They don't get this. They don't understand. They think that they're battling President Trump, and they think that they're on the side of logic and reason and science and good and justice. They're actually on the side of injustice when you look at what Democrats have done over the years. But Tim, hello. Hello, everybody. Karen, hello. Kaylee, hello. Don, hello. Eric H526. Luke St. Martin, hello. Yon Sun Long, hello. When you look, ladies and gentlemen, at the way they're trying to, the average American looks at Trump and says, even if, this is why they don't understand, the enthusiasm is there. President Trump gets 1,000 votes, 1,000 boats in a flotilla, 1,000 vessel, 1,000 boat flotilla. You couldn't even get drifting plywood in a lake for Biden. Okay? You couldn't even get plankton or seaweed or a floating bed of kelp. This is for Trump's birthday. You got 1,000 boats, a flotilla. I can't even get. This reminds me of like the Spanish Armada or something. He gets a flotilla. They wouldn't even get one little, motorboat for Biden. Not one dinghy. And then you get 1 million people trying to get into that rally. I don't think they're afraid. The media's like, you better be careful. You better be careful. You know it. Half of the lives lost are in 5 states run by Democrats. This is a fact according to the New York Times. Go to the New York Times and look. We have 50 states, 320 million people. Go to the New York Times. The lives lost, and then find out where most of the people are losing their lives. They're in Democratic-run states. New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. That's over half. And God bless the people in those states, but... So, I mean, you have to... there's a certain point, like, the average person is far more media savvy than they ever were. And there's a certain point when people push back against a prevailing narrative. You can only harp on the same issues for so long without questions being asked, like, okay, you focused on Russian interference. How many people altered their votes because of Facebook ads? Old School Dad Man, happy Friday, HA and crew. Another crazy week in the rearview mirror. Yes, Old School Dad Man, thank you. Old School Dad Man, thank you as always for watching. Be here, I know you will. Old School Dad Man, November 3rd. It is approaching every single day. Nice. William R. Abrams, I'm going to his Arizona rally. I ain't scared, that's right. That's right. But people see that. Old School Dad Man, William, people see that. People see that. Hidden for Time, hello. If you tell people, like, if you have the Democratic Party has a convention, and everyone is like 30 feet away and it's virtual and their faces are covered, even if it's exactly what you need to protect people, it's still not, in terms of politics, they're going to lose the election by a landslide if they keep acting that way. Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. Oklahoma loves President Trump, and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite loves H.A. Goodman. Thank you. Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite, greatly appreciated. Your state is kicking off the beginning of 2020, the 2020 campaign. Oklahoma. You know what? Even though I love the USC Trojans, that's like I bleed Cardinal and gold. But I tell you, I always liked the Sooners. And Barry Sanders went to Oklahoma State, so you have a lot of Mickey Mantle's from Oklahoma, Brian Bosworth. You have a lot of great athletes from Oklahoma, but Sooners are. I really like Barry Switzer. I think he's awesome. I think he's a great coach. I've always liked Barry Switzer. But I mean, you have one of the great, if not the greatest running back of all time, Barry Sanders. Played in Oklahoma also, Oklahoma State. But Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite, thank you. Old School Dad Man. Be here, Old School Dad Man, November 3rd. Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite, November 3rd. Everybody. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, everybody. It is going to be so amazing on November 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, the polls are absolutely meaningless. They're not only inaccurate, they're public relations stunts. There is no way. You look at enthusiasm. Nobody's enthusiastic for Biden, but they are for Trump. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. Sean, hello. Hello, Sean. Thank you for watching. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. She's going to lose again. Okay, that's why we spent 3 years complaining about Russia stealing the election from her. But the enthusiasm was like a 40-point enthusiasm gap, 35 to 40 points. Then on the economy, President Trump defeats Biden. Then among independents in the economy, President Trump defeats Biden. So then where do they get this? Oh, well, his response to the pandemic. People know throughout the country. You look at swing states like Florida. You look at Ohio, Florida, Iowa. These places aren't being decimated. They're not being decimated by the pandemic. The blue states, now you have Michigan and Pennsylvania that are swing states, but the governors in those states are not extremely popular with people who perhaps could swing the election. The average person who's lost income is not going to answer the phone for a half an hour and speak to CNN. If you claim to be an independent or a Republican and you answer the phone and you want to engage with the pollster, you're probably not going. You were never going to vote for Trump anyway. So, and even then they get support for President Trump. But you have people who aren't being truthful. You have people who are answering the phone that generally, just by virtue of doing that, you're not going to vote for President Trump. And so the polls are not accurate at all. They weren't accurate in 2016 at all. Kathy DuPoy! Kathy, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for watching as always. Kathy DuPoy, hidden for time. Dude, instead of Bizarro, maybe. That's a possibility too. Hidden for time. Hidden for time. The acting thing is like, it's actually, I thought I could like do it every day. It takes a bit out of you in terms of thinking of how the skit and everything. Hidden for time. Thank you. Kathy, thank you again as always, Kathy. Thank you again as always. But, you know, you get this appeal to the polls were off in 2016. They said that Clinton had a solid electoral college lead 3 days before the New York Times, 3 days before November 8th, 2016. Leo, hello. 3 days before November 8th, 2016. The polls came out and they said, okay, I'm sorry. The New York Times came out with a headline. Clinton has solid electoral college lead. You know what? I can read this to you right now. Let's just hear. Here. Let's just hear. This is the upshot. Clinton has solid lead in electoral college. Trump's winning map is unclear. Okay? Clinton has solid lead in electoral college. Trump's winning map is unclear. Now, before we get to reading this was 3 days before in the New York Times. So, Kathy, everybody here, this was 3 days before in the New York Times. No mention of Russian Facebook ads. No mention of Twitter bots. No mention of third-party spoilers. Okay? 3 days before, Clinton had a solid electoral college lead. Okay. Then what happens? Well, let's read. It goes, ladies and gentlemen, from Clinton has a solid electoral college lead to, oh my God, Trump stole the election. To, oh my God, the Russians influenced everyone's vote. To, oh my God, Trump's doing it again to Ukraine. Then, oh my God, pandemic. Then, oh my God, what's taking place now? Now it's going to be, oh my God, the rally. I'm outraged. They're outraged. Everyone's outraged. Oh my God. And at the end of the day, they stand for nothing but emotion. But nobody cares about their emotions because their emotions are contrived, almost always pertain to Trump. Everything he does is the end of the world. It's apocalyptic. It's apoplectic. It's everything. And then when it's Biden who says something even worse, they're like, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But here, so you get President Trump's rally. The Oklahoma Supreme Court sided with the Trump campaign, but I just want to read you this. They're doing it again. President Trump is actually in the driver's seat. Do not trust the polls here. Prime example, Clinton, and now this is the only, when they say, well, the polls were accurate in terms of the popular vote, they ignore the fact that Trump was outspent 2-1. Clinton spent twice as much money. She outspent Trump 2-1. Okay? Biden is actually losing to the president in terms of fundraising. Losing. So, and you don't have Gary Johnson and the Libertarian Party that took 4.5 million votes away from President Trump. Because the Libertarian voters back then, there's a lot more that would vote for Trump than would even consider voting for Democrat. And there's a greater percentage of Libertarian voters that would vote for President Trump than Green Party voters that would vote for Biden or Clinton. So he might even get the popular vote. He could get the popular vote with the level of enthusiasm. Now that will, once Clinton becomes nominee, or once Clinton is opposite Trump, in terms of, she could get the popular vote just by virtue of Hollywood and media and the obsession over the first female president. But here, let's read this. This is really interesting. To my almost 500 viewers, this is really interesting. We should read this every day. November 5th, 2016, Nate Cohn. Clinton has a solid lead in electoral college. Trump's winning map is unclear. This is all based on data-driven research. Over the last few days of the race, Donald J. Trump intends to travel all over the country. He's going to Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and even Minnesota, he said Saturday. It's an impressive travel schedule, but it may reflect the biggest challenge facing him right now. It's still not clear exactly where and how he could win. Hillary Clinton has a consistent and clear advantage in states worth at least 270 electoral votes, even if the race has undoubtedly tightened over the last few weeks. But even if that understates the challenge facing Mr. Trump's campaign, it's not at all obvious where he has his best chance of breaking through, making it hard for him to concentrate his efforts over the last days of his campaign. And then it goes, this is not to say that Mr. Trump can't win. The polls could be off across the board. Okay, at least they acknowledge this, but that's not the headline. But even if he wins Arizona, Iowa, Ohio, Utah, North Carolina, Florida, New Hampshire, he's still short of a victory. He's not assured to win any of those states, to be clear, although he's a clear favorite in Iowa and Utah at this point. Well, why would Utah? I don't even know when Utah voted Democrat. Here they have Clinton's path of least resistance. Clinton 275, Trump 263. They have her winning Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And, of course, she did not. Of all those states, the only one where Mr. Trump has really been close in the polls is Nevada. He could win Nevada this year. He could also win Minnesota this year. He might have a better electoral college showing, and he might also get the popular vote, which would be the end of the democratic paradigm of political thought. Now, they're still not going to go out without a fight, but it would be cataclysmic. Cataclysmic. Kathy, thank you again. I mean, just think about, you spent 4 years, detesting Trump is what defines the Democratic Party. They are defined. I know people who, their psyche, they get spiritual enlightenment from expressing their utter contempt for President Trump. They think they're helping the planet. They think that like they're getting like karma or they're doing something moral. Disliking Trump is actually a moral act. Their lives are, they're infatuated with Trump. That's why they say they always say, well, no one cares about him and he's always wrong, but then they hang on every word he says. And every single thing he tweets, they're there trying to see how they could tear him down. That's exactly the game that Trump plays. He trolls them with every word, and they're too ignorant to realize what President Trump is doing. It's like there are a million things they fall for. It's like unbelievable. But here, of all these states, the only one where Mr. Trump has really been close in the polls is Nevada. But Nevada is also a state where we know the most about the results. Okay, so Democrats have largely replicated the turnout from 2012. That's not true. When President Obama ultimately won the state by about 7 points. Oh, okay, so I'm talking about Nevada. Pennsylvania seemed like Mr. Trump's best option earlier in the year, but he hasn't led a live interview poll there since the summer. The final nonpartisan live interview polls there show Mrs. Clinton ahead by a comfortable margin of 4 to 6 points. 6 points. They can say whatever they like. 6 points is not the margin of error. So the state will probably be close, but it's quite clear that she has the edge. Wisconsin is another state that seemed as if it could be promising for Mr. Trump. But he has struggled among Republican-leaning voters in the Milwaukee suburbs. This is something also that Democrats don't get. Republican-leaning voters will never vote Democrat. Never. They might, a couple of them might be like, oh, well, I don't like Trump. But at the end of the day, they're going to vote for President Trump. Democrats do not have crossover appeal any longer. They did maybe 8 years ago or 10 years ago, but not any longer. They don't even have appeal to their own base. It's more of like, what they do is a guilt trip. They say, if you don't vote Democrat, then Trump's going to win. You're a Trump supporter. Kaylee Smith! I stand by my previous question. When will Trump derangement syndrome be added to the DSM-5? Kaylee Smith! It's almost a psychosis. I agree with you. There's something going on there. It's a phenomenon. I've had the unfortunate pleasure, I've had the unfortunate, unfortunately, I've had to see that type of thing from people I've known for a long time. And it's like they go into this blank, otherworldly, this almost like this psychosis. It's like a really interesting phenomenon, especially when you consider that it's not like like you would think they would reserve that for George George W. Bush. But they don't. Now it's like all good. He ran on a marriage amendment. He got us into never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts that affected the entire planet, or at least huge portions of the globe, regions of the world, and hundreds of thousands of Americans and their families. Millions of people in the United States were affected by Bush's foreign policy, millions upon millions abroad, and Hollywood likes him, and Democrats have a favorable view of George W. Bush. But if you say one good thing about Trump, my God, you are the worst person who's ever lived. Kaylee Smith, it's true. I agree with you. There's something going on there. Mitchell Smith, yeah, after 2020, yeah. I think that, well, you look here. Here's part of the issue here. This is part of the psychological obsession with President Trump. They were so confident, and it's like I've never seen more arrogant, confident people who always lose. How does that work? How are you so arrogant and confident but still lose? It's almost like they haven't been taught the definition of winning and losing. But they'll learn. Like the Iron Sheik says, be humble and make it humble. Virginia is like Colorado, neither pole, so it's okay. Again, the poles are close enough. Again, the polls are close enough that the possibility of a victory for Mr. Trump is still quite real, but it's just not clear exactly how or where he would break through. So, it doesn't seem that the Trump campaign knows either. Okay. Do you realize that if he wins Minnesota, and I think he will win Minnesota, I think he'll win Texas. Do you realize that he could even lose? If he wins Minnesota, he could, and I'm sorry, not Texas, Nevada. If he wins Minnesota, he could still lose. If everything remains the same and he wins Ohio and Florida, he could still lose Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Kathy, Kaylee, everyone here, if he wins this, now you talk about, serious psychological damage. Go to 270 to win. How are they expecting the turnout? This is what I don't understand. They've told everyone that if they walk outside of their home, they'll spontaneously combust. And then they expect turnout to be high? This doesn't make any sense. People are not... First of all, the average Democrat, they're not obsessed with Trump's person. Well, the average Democrat really dislikes Trump, but there's like a certain portion of Democrats that like have devoted their lives to just detesting President Trump. But if you look, give them Wisconsin, give them Michigan, give them Pennsylvania, but give Trump Minnesota, he still wins. And that's without Nevada. That's without Nevada. All he has to do, I think he'll win Ohio, and I think he'll win Florida. He wins Ohio and Florida, he's in the driver's seat. Now, he could win Michigan or Pennsylvania or Wisconsin. He could win Michigan, Pennsylvania, or Wisconsin. Wisconsin probably not, but he could win Michigan. He could win Pennsylvania. I don't know if the governors of Michigan and Pennsylvania are extremely popular. Like these governors, like they're like, oh yeah, we're doing all of this for your health. People are like, yeah, you're probably overreaching. You're probably doing things just because you can, maybe. So it's like, Luke St. Martin. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Quick draw, Luke St. Martin. And the regulator, Eric H526. The regulator and quick draw, Luke. Yeah. So I find this fascinating, and I'm just going to repeat myself for the next half hour. If they win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Trump wins Minnesota, they still lose. Oh my God, that's great. Then, listen to this. If they win Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but they lose Nevada and New Mexico, then Trump wins. 271, 267. Old school dad, man! Funniest line of the week. If they walk outside, they all spontaneously combust. Yeah! Old school dad, man! Old school dad, man, be here November 3rd. I know you will, with everyone here. With Jimbo and Mitchell Smith and everyone here. It's going to be fantastic. But I keep on saying it. Can I tell you also, I have personal reasons to want President Trump to win. Not just because he's bringing home Americans and setting the groundwork to end 20 years of failed foreign policy. But I have personal reasons. Like, people who suffer from really almost like it's almost like a psychosis of disliking President Trump. And to just on that night, on that live stream, on that upload, because I'm going to be like, on this channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel, Bizarro World, Goodman, now Hyperbole Translator. I'll do something with that channel. H.A. Goodman Home and Gardening channel, H.A. Goodman's Golf channel, H.A. Goodman's Cosmetic channel, H.A. Goodman's Massage Therapy channel. It's going to be euphoric because the arrogant imbeciles will have to realize, yet again, they lost. Yet again, they lost. What are you going to say now? Oh, yeah, well, Trump is still, a really bad person. You lost again. You lost again. Maybe everything you said, everything that you've been saying for 4 years has been a complete, not only lie, but a complete fabricated nonsense. He never worked with Russia, did he? So we'll have to, spoon feed them the truth when they lose on November 4th. Did he work for Russia? No. He's president again. What are we going to say? Yeah, you worked for Russia. Yeah. Now you're going to lose again. 2024. Too bad. You could have won. Madam Secretary is going to win again in 2020. Run again in 2024. She'll run again, and God bless her. Why not? Why not? I think that anybody that Biden picks, if it's not, it could be Clinton, but if, let's say, anybody who he picks as running mate, that would be Clinton's pick, because she'll be the nominee. Jimbo! Good day from the Balmoral boys, H.A. Hello, Jimbo! Give my best to the Balmoral boys. Hello. Give my best. Thank you as always for watching in Australia, in Perth, Australia. I am a lucky individual. How many content creators have a pub in Australia watching them? I am a lucky man. Jimbo! Ernest Watkins. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you. Ernest Watkins, thank you. Jimbo, you are the man. Thank you so very much. Give my best to the Balmoral boys. Ernest Watkins, thank you again. Thank you, Ernest. So, you have Jimbo, Ernest, everyone here. Look at 270 to win. It's an interactive map. Minnesota, I think President Trump could win. I really think he could win. You have to also ask yourself, what have Democrats done to get voter turnout, to ensure that they have a level of voter turnout that won't give Trump the election. What have Democrats done? So, what have Democrats done? I don't know. I don't know what Democrats have done. I don't think that they've I really don't think that they have done enough in terms of messaging. Like, what is it that they stand for? What can you give me the Democratic Party's foreign policy? I mean, aside from worrying about Russian Facebook ads, have they even talked about foreign policy? Aside from saying anything Trump does is bad? That's why I love Trump, because he's going to bring home Americans. He's already bringing home Americans from Germany, but he's setting the groundwork. He just signed an historic peace deal in late February, early March. You're going to have President Trump. He'll be able to implement a great many things. Lens work for during the prosecution. It's going to take some time. We need to win. We will win. Lens work for. Once media realizes that they've jumped on the wrong bandwagon, because there are a great many. If Trump wins again, he's going to take Rascal 77's hello. He's going to take social media with him. I mean, when President Trump defeats Clinton again, Democrats, social media, the manner in which journalists and publications like the Washington Post and New York Times, the manner in which they report the news will change. It might not change drastically, but it will eventually change. G-Man, thank you again. Thank you again, G-Man. Thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you. The manner in which media obsesses over President Trump's every word, that will change. Bucolic Buffalo! Democrats' foreign policy was to sell America to foreign countries. Bucolic Buffalo! It's also an interventionist foreign policy, which I can't stand. I can't stand that. And Bucolic Buffalo, there are so many things that differentiate President Trump from establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans, or all Democrats and establishment Republicans. See, you can't really say, what do Democrats stand for in terms of foreign policy? No, I don't know. Fearing Russian Facebook ads? President Trump was the first president to step foot in North Korea and begin détente. And the beginning of détente doesn't mean that there will never be tensions. Of course there are tensions now, but it would be worse without the diplomatic relationship that now exists. There's a reason that President Moon Jae-in stated that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. So, you look at this map and it's like, it's amazing. This Electoral College map is pretty awesome. They've invested too much emotion, which is also, if you're running a pass pattern and, the quarterback's throwing you the ball and you're a receiver and you're just, please don't drop it. No, you tense up. And that's all you could think about, and you're afraid to just catch the ball, you're going to drop it. Or if you're afraid to strike out and you're afraid to, then you'll strike out. Well, all they've done is they've placed all their emotion into disliking President Trump and none of their emotion into why they should vote Democrat. Bucolic Buffalo, thank you again. So, I mean, you look at, think of November 3rd, everybody. Think of November 3rd. You got to think of November 3rd, people. You got to think of November 3rd. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. The Real Keisha! The Real Keisha, thank you. Keep it up. Thank you. The Real Keisha, thank you so very, very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. The Real Keisha, Bucolic Buffalo, everyone here. Definitely. All I can tell you is be here November 3rd. Because it ain't going to be Biden. Do you understand? It would be the 85 Bears versus Jerry Nadler and the Democratic softball team. Or the Democratic Party's football team. It would be Usain Bolt and Carl Lewis in a race against, just pick any Democrat. Freedom Fighter! Number 3, it's going to be historic. It will. Oh my God, Freedom Fighter, thank you. Thank you, Freedom Fighter, thank you. The Real Keisha, Freedom Fighter, it's going to be historic. And it will be the most important day. It will be the most important, one of the most important days in YouTube history. Because like I told you, ladies and gentlemen, I am like a 270 hitter that hits 28 home runs and 89 RBIs. That's it. I just pull the ball to the left. I hit 270. I get 28 homers. 89 ribbies. 7 stolen bases. 88 runs scored. But if it's a fastball inside, I'm taking it over the green monster. So I have a very specific focus. My focus is really, because you can't talk about anything on YouTube politically, you just can't. So, and even my headlines, if you notice, I'm like, this is a really good thing that happened. And then, of course, the Clinton's going to, become nominee because she will. But everything is super vanilla and plain. I'm not controversial at all. But the one thing I do live for on this channel and H.A. Goodman's cooking channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel, the links below, is the one thing I do live for is November 3rd. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Like, I so live for November 3rd that I got off Twitter, and they still talk about me, and they still try to impersonate me, breaking the law. If you see anybody, report them to Twitter. Take screenshots, report them to Twitter. I got off Twitter, I got off Facebook, I got off, I have no social media presence other than my 3 YouTube channels. And 2, really working on 2, H.A. Goodman and H.A. Goodman's other channel. But, November 3rd, they're trying to, here's the reason why. You might be thinking, well, why on earth are they saying that, Trump's down if he's not? Well, because they have to. What are they going to say? They spent their entire lives focused on how horrible and horrendous Trump is, and then they say he could win. They're trying to also validate the media spin. They're trying to say, well, they're trying to validate the media spin, which is to say they're saying, well, look at the media coverage has been absolutely horrendous. 4.9, less than 5,000 views. This is the Democratic presidential candidate, June 19th. He got less than 5,000 views when he's speaking about the latest Supreme Court decision. And they turned off comments. Comments are not turned off for President. He's like, go ahead, talk. And everyone's like, yeah, we love you. Why does he have... They're putting subtitles. You could have closed caption. You don't need subtitles. Why is he speaking with subtitles? And this bizarre border like this, like it's taken on an old cell phone. Whatever, it's so obvious. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. And when it happens, of course, people are, well, we always knew. Like, no, you didn't know. I'm getting every once in a while, guess your lame prediction didn't happen. It will. Stephen Barkley! Stephen! Thank you. Biden 2020. Stephen Barkley, thank you. Stephen, thank you so very much. Mitchell Smith! Mitchell saw a preview of Tulsa, and they're doing... to prevent loss of property, boarding up businesses, setting up barricades, National Guard and police raid. Trump said, this is not CIA. You know what? When those two operatives were forced to resign, they need to, he needs to be preemptive. He needs to preempt. Christopher! Let's go show around. It is, but that is also a fleeting, Christopher, that is a fleeting... that will be a hallmark of this era that will no longer, Josh M7, thank you, that will no longer be relevant after November 3rd. After November 3rd, people are going to ask themselves, okay, well, who has won the paradigm? Larry, hello. Who has won the paradigm? November 3rd is... every Super Bowl, every UFC championship, every heavyweight boxing title, every Game 7 World Series, 3-2 count, 2 outs, bases loaded, down by 2 or 3. Every horse race, every arm wrestling match, every competition in one is November 3rd. And I'm reading the comments, and you got to ask yourself, Mitchell Smith, do they have what it takes to win? If you go into a heavyweight match and you every single day, oh, my opponent is horrible, my opponent stinks, it's going to be so easy, you better win. You better win. You better win. Because you talk the talk, and if you don't walk the walk, then what happens? If you talk the talk and you don't walk the walk, then what happens? And here's another thing also. Celebrity and fame mean nothing today. They really mean nothing today. So if you're just a voice on Twitter yelling at the top of your lungs at how much you can't stand Trump, what happens when Twitter is no longer relevant or no longer there? Well, is MySpace around? How many Can you go back and say, oh, this person said something profound on MySpace? So, like, what happens when in 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 2 years from now, when Twitter is no longer relevant, when nobody goes on there? Do you know how much time social media takes? Do you know how much time? That's one of the reasons I don't have it. Every 2 seconds you're going back and forth with people you don't know, and oh my God, and then there's it's just a waste of time. You can't function. Life is too important. There's too much to do in life than waste time getting into an argument. Now, if you enjoy it, that's one thing. But if you don't enjoy it and you're like, oh my God, again. Jimbo! Check out Hairy Legs on YouTube. Almost 1 million views. I did. Hilarious. I got hairy legs. It turned blonde in the sun. I did. Jimbo. Very funny. I know. There are so many takes on Biden. They're not going with Biden. However it goes down, they're going with Madam Secretary Hillary Clinton. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Jimbo. Frank! What's up, HA? It's been a while. I was hiding under a rock for 6 months. So is Hillary running for president like you've been saying? Yes. We're just waiting. We're just waiting. We're just waiting. Missed super chat from William R. Abrams. We're just waiting. I don't know how it's going to happen, but William R. Abrams like to see Schumer and Jim Jordan. Wow, that would not be fun. You got to get somebody closer to Jim Jordan's age, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a Democrat. William, thank you. Jimbo, yeah, I saw that. It's pretty funny. Frank, it's going to happen. I don't know how, though. That's the issue. But they ain't going with the exhumed body. I call him the Tales from the Crypt exhumed body Botox one. Because it ain't happening. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, I will be back about 11 p.m. tonight. Maybe earlier, but if you're up by 11 p.m., people, be here. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a great segment on there. And, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, G-Man, thanks again for starting the ball rolling on this. I'll be back at 11 p.m., everybody. Be here at 11 p.m. Kathy, thank you again. Kathy, get a good night's sleep. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. And if you're up, see you at 11 p.m. Thanks, everybody, to my super chat. Thank you.